Hello guys and welcome to my channel. Today we will be painting a violet wood, and this painting I'm starting off with a sketch, and as you can see in the background I am drawing mountains, horizon line and mountains, and in the foreground I am drawing a couple of trees, and some of them are thicker and some of them are thinner. I'm also planning to paint maybe a lake, maybe a sea between the wood and the mountains. And in the background there will also be a beautiful sunset and a sky. I'm usually painting wet on wet technique, and this time is also not a difference. So first I'm pre-wetting my paper and then I will paint, and I'm pre-wetting the entire paper, the part where the sky is going to be and also the part where the water is going to be. The first paint I'm using is Azure, and right now I'm mixing it with Mother Lake Red Light to get some violet paint and painting in the sky. I'm not starting with the one same wash and painting the entire sky, but I'm making horizontal strokes to mimic some clouds and, well, to get the difference and some texture and beauty in the sky, because I want my sky to look like a sunset sky, and for that we need different colors. With a tissue I will pick up the paint where my sun is going to be, where the sun is going to set behind the mountains, and also I will pick a little bit paint around the sun to get some better glow of a sunset. Not to forget, for my yellow I'm using Cadmium yellow medium. Water I'm painting with that same mix of ultramarine and Mother Lake Red Light, and this time I painted the entire surface of the water, and now I'm adding a little bit more texture with placing a little bit more pigment in some places on the water. After the paint fully dried, I pre-wetted the paper again, and this time only part where my sky is going to be, and with a smaller round brush I am painting, I would say, more like an impression of the clouds, and for that I'm using a mix of Mother Lake Red Light and Cadmium yellow medium. And I just want to mention that this sky is a little bit more difficult sky to paint. It's not very simple and it's not very easy, so don't be hard on yourself if it doesn't turn out exactly like mine, but it will be a good practice for a little bit more complex sky. When I was pre-wetting the paper before painting the clouds, I did pre-wet it, but I pre-wetted it very slightly. I didn't use too much water because I don't want to be very wet. So right now you can see how I'm drying my brush on my jar. I did wet it and then I removed the excess of water by pressing it on the edge of my jar. Also keep in mind that when painting this particular sky and clouds, when you notice that your paper is starting to dry, just leave it to dry completely. It shouldn't be dry partially, and if it does dry partially and you keep painting, it won't have these beautiful transitions between the clouds and the sky, but the edges will be harsher. So when you do notice that your paper is starting to dry, just leave it to dry completely or dry it with a hairdryer, pre-wet it slightly again and keep going. Since there are mountains between our sky and the water, we do not have to wait for our sky to dry completely, but we can go and paint the water, and we'll do that by pre-wetting the paper in that part and then start to paint it with the mix of Azure and Mother Lake Red Light. And when that paint dries, we will paint a light wash of Cadmium yellow medium and Mother Lake Red Light to make some reflection in our water. With a smaller round brush I'm painting some details in the water, some shadows and highlights from the waves. and this time I'm painting it on already wet paper, so when it dries it won't have the harsh edges and it will blend with the background. And as you can see right now, when the paper completely dried, I'm doing the same thing, but this time with an even smaller script brush and painting it on a dry paper, so the edges this time will be harsher. I decided to paint some land in between the mountains and my wood, and I'm painting it with more saturated violet. I got from mixing Meadow Lake Red Light and Azure. Same mix I'm also using for the mountains in the distance. After painting the line on the top of my mountains, I rinsed my brush in water and smudged the lower edge because I don't want the harsh lines, and I do want the middle part of my mountains to be lighter than the top and the bottom, as if there's some fog lifting up in those mountains. Again, when the paint on my mountains dried completely, I'm using a light wash of Cadmium Yellow Medium and painting it on the top of the mountains and also on my water, again to get some reflections from the sunset. After that, I'm using a bigger round brush, which I dried on a paper towel, and after that, with almost a dry brush and paint, I'm giving some more interest and texture to my water. That will also be the last step in painting the background or the objects that are behind my wood and trees. Them I will be painting with only one color, and that is neutral black. Tree branches I'm painting with script brush, and for those who are watching my videos and have seen it before, you probably know that almost always I'm using a script brush for branches. I love that script brush for thin lines, and I love the impression that I get from it when I wiggle that brush. It just makes a perfect impression of a tree branch. And that is the reason why I use it, and why probably I will use it also in the future. But of course, if you don't have a script brush, you can also use a smaller round brush or maybe a detail brush. For painting leaves, I'm using a dagger brush, and I'm slightly tapping with the tip of my brush on the paper to get the impression of the leaves, and when I press it harder I get the bigger leaves, and when I press it lighter I get the impression of the smaller leaves. After that, I'm using again a script brush, and I'm just wiggling it at the ends of my leaves to make an impression of some branches that are going out of the leaves. The tree on the left is a different tree than the other ones, so this one I'm painting with a smaller round brush, and with the tip of that brush I'm tapping in, but this time not the leaves but the branches that have those green leaves on it. Again, also using the script brush for the smaller branches at the ends. I also decided to paint some grass or maybe weeds from the ground, and again using that script brush. So as you can imagine, I really do recommend getting that script brush. If you paint a lot of trees, if you paint a lot of grass, you should get that. It will make your life quite easier when painting them. And with that, I'll be finishing off my painting and of course this video. Thank you a lot guys for watching. Thank you for all your support. And if you like this video, please like, share, comment, and if you haven't still, subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot to me. Well, I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!